The Grand Bahama Power controversy taking another turn as jobs are affected at one of the Burger King stores. The Minister of Grand Bahama weighing in on this issue, and a new clinic providing a much-needed service to Grand Bahamians.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, all. I'm Shashina Wolf-Farquharson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, some 40 persons now without work, albeit temporarily, as one Burger King restaurant has closed its doors until a resolution can be reached with the Grand Bahama Power Company. Tonight, a tech expert explains if using a conservation device is illegal and shares why all the relevant parties need to mediate this troubling situation before more restaurants are forced to close their doors. Well, Minister of State for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Kwesi Thompson, says that the government is concerned about this issue that has developed between the Cooper family and the Grand Bahama Power Company. Now, he says that they are monitoring the situation and are hoping for an amicable resolution soon.
Our concern really is to ensure that there's no harm done to the economy, there's no harm done to those employees or to the wider community. There's also, I believe, a safety issue, and so we want to ensure that that those steps are taken to ensure that there's no harm done to individuals, even when it comes to dealing with these boxes and the other items. So we are confident that we're going to continue to talk to them. We believe that they are going to continue to talk, and we are very hopeful that there's going to be a amicable resolution.
In other news, the Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association and attorneys for Lucaya Renewal Holdings were back at the Industrial Tribunal today. The association that represents the managerial staff at the Grand Lucayan property are trying to settle on voluntary separation packages for its members. But today, the issue of packages became secondary as the attorney for property is questioning the tribunal's jurisdiction. Megan Shepard has more.
Attorney for Lucayan Renewal Holdings, J.C. Whitaker, reiterating their stance that the Industrial Tribunal, as a statutory body, lacks jurisdiction to deal with this particular matter.
The tribunal understood the legal points we were making. The union had some issue understanding the legal arguments that were presented. However, it is our position that the tribunal doesn't have the proper jurisdiction to deal with this matter, and it should possibly go somewhere else if it is not resolved. We have given the union everything they have asked for in the past, but they're just refusing to accept what the true facts of this case are. So at this point, we are simply saying we've come forward with clean hands. We've tried to help. We've done this as more of a favor to the union, not because we're legally required to attend and participate, but in an effort to help.
Now, on the opposite side, Kirkland Russell of the Bahamas Hotel Managerial Association says that the tribunal has full jurisdiction to hear, decide, and award monies for this industrial matter. He says the union intends to be persistent in fighting for their cause.
The court, based on the act, has jurisdiction to resolve disputes, and that is what we have. That is what we have here. The more pressing thing that I think the other side ought to be concerned about is the fact that they would have submitted to this court a defense on November 1st, 2016, outlining that the Lucayan Renewal Holding fully accepts the industrial agreement, that they will be guided by the industrial agreement and the language of the industrial agreement, that they will honor the industrial agreement.
Russell adds that they met with the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Dionisio de Aguilar, on Monday to continue presenting their arguments.
The minister assured us that following cabinet on Tuesday, that he will meet or at least respond to Mr. President, Mr. Ferguson, of which he did. He outlined the government's position and where they are headed as it relates to the amount of years, because that is a one of the more pressing concerns for the members, and he agreed and suggested that a more comprehensive report outlining, replying to all of our concerns would be forthcoming.
Now, as it relates to the arguments before the courts, that matter has been adjourned to May 6. While Russell says they will continue to present their case, Whitaker says they will no longer be involved in this matter.
We won't be appearing, but if the union, after reviewing the cases mentioned in the hearing today, seek the need to come back to argue, they will be doing that on their own.
Megan Shepard, 7S Network News.
Meantime, executives of the Bahamas Union of Teachers in the Industrial Tribunal this week, the union is accused of the alleged wrongful termination of Office Assistant Clive Wyatt. Wyatt's representative, labor consultant Lionel Morley, says he finds it incredible that a union that advocates for the rights of teachers can terminate an office staff without following the proper process. He says he hopes justice prevails.
The man is before the court. Until that matter is adjudicated, no employer has a right on the outside of putting the employee on leave or half pay or do something reasonable. A young man is out of work because I believe personally that there are this matter is personal. I believe that this matter hinges solely on the fact that this man works in the office here with Mr. Loroto, who have been trying to keep the union accountable, make sure that there are full adherence of the union's constitution.
Meantime, Bahamas Union of Teachers Area Vice President Quentin Loroto says he believes every worker is entitled to fair treatment. He says he represents teachers across the country and wants every teacher to be treated fairly, and he expects the same for BUT employees as well.
The union and union leaders must stand on principle, and so that's my stand. I had recused myself from the preliminary situations with the labor board and anything else because I felt I had a very close relationship with Mr. Wyatt, and I didn't want to prejudice anything against the union on his behalf, and so I said I will recuse myself. But once a trial, you go into trial and the judge is seeking the truth, then I think honest people must show up and speak the truth.
In other news, years after a devastating fire left behind hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage, a local church family is now preparing for a new beginning. As Jamila Mizik tells us, a contract was signed this morning for the construction of a new edifice.
You may recall that blaze on March 13, 2013 that destroyed the Zion Baptist Community Church located on East Sunrise Highway. 6 years later, and that ministry will finally see the construction of a new sanctuary. Since the fire, the church has engaged in many fundraising efforts to get to this point and has even been worshiping in a nearby lodge hall. Reverend Peter Pinder says he's very excited and delighted to sign an agreement with contractor Pinnacle Investment Construction, the company responsible for constructing the new church building.
We are very grateful that God has opened this door for us. Mr. Edwards has a long history with our church, and we are very pleased that we were able to reach an understanding that he would be the contractor that will lead in the construction of our church.
Contractor Michael Edwards says they're pleased to be awarded the contract to see the erection and completion of the church property, especially since he has a long history with the Zion community.
We will make every effort. Our past experience in the construction industry will be the driving force in us bringing this project to a very successful conclusion in a timely manner.
Although he did not disclose the cost of the entire rebuilding process, Edwards says it is quite costly. He made this appeal to the Grand Bahama community to assist.
As you know, Zion is as most of the churches, are basically community effort and community work, and it's a non-profit organization. So, every little helps.
Reverend Pinder says he is very grateful to the building community for the work they have done and will do moving forward to ensure that the project comes to a successful conclusion. The rebuilding phase is expected to take place between 18 to 20 months. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
In news from the crime beat, 2 young men hauled before the 8 Mile Rock Magistrates Court this morning on attempted murder charges. 18-year-old Pinedale resident Matthew Gibson, seen here in the pink shirt, as well as 20-year-old Robinson Celestin, also of Pinedale, seen here in the blue shirt, stood before Magistrate Gwendolyn Claude on 2 counts of attempted murder charges. It is alleged that on Sunday, February 10, 2019, in 8 Mile Rock, the 2, being concerned together by means of unlawful harm, did attempt to cause the death of 2 individuals. The men were not required to enter a plea and bail was denied. They were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until trial. That matter is adjourned until May 1st. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Stay with us. There's more news right after the break.